I'm trying to keep you from cutting up your pretty hands the next time you have to save a girl from a pig. She cocked her head to the side. Speaking of, did you know that when you're angry, your eyes— "Lo, pigs!" A voice came through the trees, accompanied by the dull clank of a bell. "Peg, peg, peg, peg!" The great sow perked up and trotted back through the brush toward the sound of the voice. Denna took a moment to replace her knife while I picked up my travel sack. Following the pig through the trees, we spotted a man downstream with a half-dozen large sows milling around him. There was an old bristling boar, too, and a score of assorted piglets scampering underfoot. The swineherd eyed us suspiciously. "Hello!" he shouted. "Don't be afeard. They won't bite." He was lean and leathery from the sun, with a scraggling beard. His long stick had a crude bronze bell hanging from it, and he wore a tattered bag over one shoulder. He smelled better than you'd probably expect, as ranging pigs keep themselves cleaner than those kept penned. Even if he had smelled like a penned pig, I couldn't really hold it against him, as I had no doubt smelled worse at various points in my life. "I thought I heard someone down to the water eyes," he said, his accent so thick and oily you could almost taste it. My mother referred to it as a deep valley accent, since you only found them in towns that didn't have much contact with the outside world. Even in small rural towns like Traben, folk didn't have much of an accent these days. Living in Tarbean and Imre for so long, I hadn't heard a dialect this thick in years. The fellow must have grown up in a truly remote location, probably tucked far back into the mountains. He came up to where we stood, his weathered face grim as he squinted at us. "What are you doing out here?" he said suspiciously. "I thought I heard singing." "'Twere me cousin," I said, making a nod toward Denna. "She'd to have a lovely voice for skrelling, don't she?" I held out my hand. "I'm great glad to meet you, sir. You clapped me quoth." He looked taken aback when he heard me speak, and a good portion of the grim suspicion faded from his expression. "Pleased I'm certain, Master Quoth," he said, shaking my hand. "It's a rare treat to meet a fellow who can speak proper. Gummers round these pours sound like they got a mouthful of wool." I laughed. "My father used to say, wool in the mouth and wool in the head." He grinned and shook my hand. "My name is Scoiven Schimmelfennig." "You've got the name enough for a king," I said. "Would you be terrible offended if I pared it down to Shim?" "All my friends there." He grinned at me, clapping me on the back. "Shim do fine for lovely young folk like yourselves." He looked back and forth between Denna and myself. Denna, much to her credit, hadn't so much as batted an eye at my sudden change in dialect. "Forgive me," I said, making a gesture in her direction. "Shim, this is my most favourite cousin." "Denna," Denna said. I dropped my voice to a stage whisper. "Ah, sweet lass, but she's terrible shy. You won't be hearing mecha load of here, I'm afeard." Denna picked up her part without the least hesitation, looking down at her feet and twining her fingers together nervously. She glanced up long enough to smile at the swineherd, then dropped her eyes again, making such a picture of awkward bashfulness that I was almost fooled myself. Shim touched his forehead politely and nodded. "Pleased to meet you, Denna. I ain't never heard a voice so lovely in all me life," he said, pushing his shapeless hat back onto his head a bit. When Denna still wouldn't meet his eye, he turned back to me. "Fine looking herd." I nodded in the direction of the scattered pigs that were meandering through the trees. He shook his head, chuckling. "Nay, a herd. Chaps and cows make a herd. Pegs is a sounder." "Is that so?" I said. "Is there a chance, friend Shim, that I might buy a fine wee peg from you? My cousin and I missed our dinner today." "Might do," he said cautiously, his eyes flickering to my purse. "If you dress it for us, I'll give you 4 jots," I said, knowing it to be a generous price. "But that's only if you'll do us a favour of sitting down and chatting a wee bit with us." It was a casual testing of the waters. People in solitary jobs like shepherds or swineherds tend to either enjoy their own company or be starved for conversation. I hoped Shim was the latter. I needed information about the wedding, and none of the people in town seemed likely to talk. I gave him a sly grin and dipped my hand into my travel sack, bringing out the bottle of brand I'd bought from the tinker. We've even got a dram of something to season it, if you're not opposed to taking a drop with a couple of strangers early in the day. Denna caught her cue and glanced up in time to catch Shem's eye, smiled shyly, then looked down again. Well, may mother raise me proper, the swineherd said piously, laying a hand flat on his chest. I don't drink but when I'm thirsty, or when the wind's blowing. He tipped his shapeless hat dramatically off his head and made a half bow to us. You seem to be good folk. I'd love to share a bit of dinner with you. Shem collared a young pig and carried it off a ways, where he killed and dressed it using a long knife from his bag. I cleared away leaves and stacked some rocks to make a quick fire pit. After a minute, Denna came back over with an armload of dry wood. I assume we're pumping this fellow for every scrap of information we can get, she said quietly over my shoulder. I nodded. Sorry about the shy cousin bit, but no, it was good thinking. I don't speak fluent bumpkin, and he'll be more likely to open up to someone who does. Her eyes flickered behind me. He's almost done. She wandered away toward the river. I covertly used some sympathy to start the fire, while Denna cobbled together a couple cooking skewers out of forked willow branches. Shem returned with the piglet, neatly quartered. I passed around the bottle of brand while the pig cooked over the fire, smoking and dripping fat onto the coals. I made a show of drinking, just raising the bottle and wetting my mouth. Denna tipped it when it passed her by as well, and there was some rosy color in her cheeks afterward. Shem was as good as his word, and since the wind was blowing, it wasn't too long before his nose was comfortably red. Shem and I chatted about nothing in particular until the pig was crispy and crackling on the outside. The more I listened, the more Shem's accent faded into the back of my awareness, and I didn't need to concentrate so much on maintaining my own. By the time the pig was done, I was hardly aware of it at all. You're right handy with a knife, I complimented Shem. But I'm surprised you'd got the little fella right here with the pigs close by. He shook his head. Pigs is vicious bastards. He pointed to one of the sows trotting over to the patch of ground where he dressed the pig. See? She's after this little one's lights. Pigs is clever, but they ain't a touch sentimental. Declaring the pig nearly done, Shem brought out a round farmer's loaf and shared it 3 ways. Mutton, he grumbled to himself. Who wants mutton when you can have a nice piece of bacon? He got to his feet and began to carve the pig with his long knife. What would you like, little lady? Shem said to Denna. I'm na partial myself, she said. I'll take whatever you have handy there. I was glad Shem wasn't looking at me when she spoke. Her accent wasn't perfect, a little too long on the O's and too tight in the back of the throat, but it was really quite good. Nae need to be shy about it, Shem said. There'll be plenty and to spare. I've always had a liking for the hinder parts myself, Denna said, then flushed in embarrassment and looked down. Her O's were better this time. Shem showed his true gentlemanly nature by refraining from any crude comments as he lay a thick slice of steaming meat atop her piece of bread. Mind your fingers. Give it a minute to cool.